Today we're talking about the five senses and the information that comes into our being and how we can filter that information depending upon what we prefer within our experience. So yesterday we talked about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind and the pillar in the middle, which is our imagination, feelings, thoughts and beliefs, and how that's the bridge, that's the communication between the two. Well, today we're going to talk about the five senses, or more profoundly, external physical reality, me in the middle, and sight, hearing, taste, smell and touch, and the world beyond, the other world, the subconscious, all that is, you can talk about both. So we've got the other world, physical world, me in the middle, okay? Now, in our society, we have an onslaught that is being delivered against our senses, okay? Our attention has become a currency, okay, or a current sea, the ocean. It has become a currency. And we are, I would like to suggest, having to focus and think about where we place our attention and what is being delivered into our being through our five senses, right? What you're seeing, what you're hearing, taste is a little bit different, although I suppose it could be the same, food. In fact, it is exactly the same because the food that we eat tastes amazing, but a lot of it's absolutely inedible, okay? So we've got what we see. A lot of social media now is lust, porn, war, violence, hatred, aggression, all of this stuff. What we hear, lust, violence, aggression, hatred, etc. What we are tasting, McDonald's and Starbucks and all these things that are just absolutely inedible, refined sugar that's poisoning and filling toxins in our body. What we're touching, or that's also very connected to our emotional body. Our emotions are connected to what we feel, what we touch, okay? And, what we smell as well, the world of toxicity. I'm burning some lovely incense at the back here, but often it's car fumes, it's, like fake perfumes and toxic rancid smells as an onslaught on our senses, So some of these perhaps we can't avoid, but the real important sort of notion of this video is becoming a paladin of your senses. So we have the physical world, the other world, or physical reality, and our subconscious, our mind, our internal world, and we become the gatekeeper, okay? We become the gatekeeper. We become the paladin. We become the one that decides how this information is fed into our inner world, okay? And you can either orientate yourself in a positive way or a negative way, okay? You can use physical world external experiences as a way to align you with your truths, ignite your passion and purpose, recognize what's happening in the world and seek to be the difference, be the change, or you can recognize what's in the world and you can amplify it. Be a being of hate, being a being that's promoting war and violence and aggression and lust and just the degradation of society, right? So what's being filtered into our internal world, you become the gatekeeper, you become the paladin, okay? And honestly, I could stop the video right there. That is the most powerful, the most profound component of today's more in-depth video, okay? And so it really does highlight what I mentioned yesterday about becoming deeply conscious of your world, deeply conscious of your inner world, deeply conscious of your external world, because there are a lot of people, and I mean this with love, I don't mean this with, hate or judgment, but a lot of people are walking around unconscious as to what is happening around them, okay? A lot of people are walking around unconscious as to what is happening around them. So it's extremely important that we activate our discerning mind or our discerning thought process and we filter. Okay, something comes to you, question it. And there's a beautiful analogy that I've used before. And it's of a man, wife, a husband, a wife, a man, a woman, and their child. Okay, husband, wife, man, woman, and their child. And the child comes in and says, "Mummy, why are you cutting the chicken in half before you put it in the oven?" And the husband looks over and he says, "Yeah, darling, why are you cutting the chicken in half before you put it in the oven?" And the mother thinks and she says, "Well, because my mum did it, Grandma did it." And so they ring up Grandma and they say, "Granny, why did you used to cut the chicken in half before you put it in the oven? Because the oven's big enough to have a whole chicken in." I'm a vegetarian, so this is a very funny story, I suppose, coming from me. And they ring up Grandma and they say, "Well, Granny, why do you cut the chicken in half?" And Grandma says, "Well, my mummy used to do it." And fortunately enough, Grandma, if that's how you want to say it, Grandma is alive. So they ring up Grandma and they say, "Oh, well, dear, it wouldn't fit in the oven." And so the moral of it is that nobody questioned why this was happened. We saw it and we repeated it, right? We saw it and we repeated it. We saw it and we repeated it. We saw it and we repeated it. Why am I doing that? Because that's today's second most important point of this video, is that a lot of people saw and repeated. They mimicked. Okay, children are very much one for doing this. My mother will tell you that I used to walk around with a plastic lawnmower when I was a kid, when my dad was mowing the lawn. So I'd copy my father with a toy lawnmower, right? So the story here is that the great-grandma couldn't fit the chicken in the oven because they didn't have a big enough oven. The grandma did have a big enough oven but carried on the behaviour. The mother did have a big enough oven but carried on the behaviour. But the child questioned it, right? And they recognised that there was a behaviour or there was something happening that was illogical. They used discerning thought, discerning questioning. Okay, and so this is a really important element of sovereignty. Okay, this is a very important element of sovereignty. This is a very important element of understanding why we behave the way we do, why we do the things we do, and therefore moving into a place of higher mind, moving into a place of inner clarity, okay? And this is all it is. We see something, we mimic it. We hear something, we mimic it, okay? We feel something, we mimic it. The question is it in alignment? Does it make sense, right? And so this is really about engaging in a process of questioning, asking yourself why things happen, why you are doing the things you're doing, and if necessary, making an adjustment, right? This is a practice of sovereignty, internal sovereignty, okay? And it goes from the physical world to the other world or the internal world, and you are the paladin, you are the gatekeeper, okay? You are the gatekeeper. That's all I have to say for today's video. These concepts, these philosophies, these ideas, they are things you can take away with you and change your life if you wish. But I know that sometimes it can be challenging for an individual to do this by themselves. And this is why I offer one-on-one sessions. So if you would like to work with me one-on-one, if you'd like to work with me on a personal basis, feel free to drop me a message. Find out how you can do that. I do also have my website, you can check that out. And if you like my energy, if you resonate with who I am, I'd love to explore working with you personally. So, as always, my deepest love to you. I hope this video helped. If it didn't, that's totally fine. Drop a comment, share it with somebody who you think would find it valuable. Take care of yourself, my friends, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.